Hi, welcome back to Worm's Eye View. If you've not visited my channel before, then I am Pippa and I am a childminder for mainly early years. I do have a lot of after schoolers as well, but my main focus is on the sort of babies all the way up to the start school. So I do a lot of activities based around play, learning through play, and especially getting outside and enjoying the outside world. So that's a little bit about me and my channel. I also do shopping hauls and day in the life videos as well. So if you're interested in any of that, then take a look at my other videos, press the subscribe button, and hopefully you'll pop back again and see some more. I thought what I'd do today is go through learning journeys or childcare profiles. So anyone who works with children has to follow the EYFS. I'm going to show you one of my folders. So this is how I'm doing it at the moment. I've had several different ways of keeping track of the children's development over the years. I started off with big ring binders and I put a lot of in-depth information into them, and the parents loved them, which was great. Ofsted loved them, but it was really hard work for me. So when you've got maybe 7 early years children on your books, it's really hard to keep up with it. So I decided to go online. Now I did a free online learning journey, and that was great for a bit and the parents did engage with it. Unfortunately, they had a software issue or an update issue and they lost everything. So that was a year's worth of learning journeys gone for all my families. They were really apologetic. You know, it was one of those things, and it was free, so it's not like I was paying for a service and and then lost it. So then I went for a paid version, and that was great, and it had a lot of things that was useful. So I used the Kindly one, which I would recommend if you are going for an online system, then definitely look at Kindly. And if you're a Pacey member, then you get the Kindly for a reduced price. So that's why I did it. I'm with Pacey and it had good reviews, and I thought if Pacey are promoting it, then it's worth doing. It had a phone app, which was another really good sort of aspect that I really liked. I mean, there are others out there. I'm not au fait with all of them, and I've heard good and bad about all. And there was no problems with Kindly other than the fact that my parents just didn't really engage with it. Not like they had with the free one that I was using. So I thought, and I'd also had feedback from parents saying that they liked having something physical that they could take home and look through. And then in the summer, I bumped into a child that I used to look after, and she just ran up to me and was telling me about how she has this box of special things that she did at Pippa's, and was telling me all about these things that I'd completely forgotten about but were really special to her, and that she had in her special box and her progress folder with all her pictures in and everything else. And I thought, it's not just for the parents. This is the children's memories as well, and she loved looking back over it. So I thought I need to go back to the paper version. But I don't want to go back to something that is going to take hours and hours and hours and is going to take my time away from my family as well. So I've compromised, and I've put a sticker over this just to protect the child's name. So what I've currently got in this folder is from Twinkl. So this is the Twinkl tracking document. I'm not sure if you have to be a member of Twinkl to download this one. Some of their stuff is free and some of their stuff you have to be a member. I pay the full membership each year, which I think is £70-something, but to be honest with you, it's absolutely worth it. I use it on and off throughout the year. I mean, I wouldn't be without it. And sometimes they do special deals. So sometimes on the childminding groups on Facebook, they offer a discount. So it's worth keeping your eye out for those. So I literally just make a mark as to when she started. So this was this September. And then you can see all the green marks on this are just areas that she is well established in. So she has met those areas of development. And so it gives me a quick view as to where her next steps are. And then there's a little area for notes. So I'll just write, let me just show you on this one. So it says we're working on a tier-free transition in the morning. So that was in October. So in October, she only comes one day a week. So in October, she was still struggling to separate from mum, and she was quite tearful. And I did know this when she started. I've known her since she was a baby, so I knew this was going to be the case. And we've just worked together to make transition easier for her. Oh, my light's gone. Okay, my light went then. It's charging on my laptop, and my laptop turned off. So, yeah, so we've been working really hard on getting her transitioning from mum dropping her off and coming to me. Tears don't last very long at all, but we were having trouble with that. And what are we in now? February. And the last 2 weeks she hasn't cried. So one day a week since September we have struggled, but she's doing really, really well, and she's progressed onto that. Now you can see later on in here, let me have a little look. There's some marks in blue. So on this one, you'll see there's some marks in blue. And these are things that she has developed later on. And I've made a little mark down here to say that the blue marks are January 2018. So that's how far she has progressed since starting in September. And in some areas, she's made a huge leap. So that is the tracking. And I use that so I can see at a glance. I get a piece of paper, I sit down, I go, right, what are her next steps? And I look at things that she hasn't yet achieved and how we can help her. So I kind of write all these areas down, and then I go off with my piece of paper and think about what activities and experiences I can offer her to help her to meet those areas of development. And now I was doing really big observations, but again, they took up a lot of printing ink. I don't think parents needed it in that depth. I understood the depth of it from an early years point of view, but I don't think parents necessarily needed me to go into that much depth. So what I've done here is I've made little observations. I have put the date, the month, I've put some photos and just made little observations, and then links to the EYFS there. So the areas of the areas that it meets. So we've got that. So then I've also done things. So here she was doing some writing. And I wanted to keep this one for her folder because she was practicing E's. So she was doing spirals to write E's. And then she did this one and said that one was P for Pippa. And there was a D for Daddy. So she was practicing her letters, and we've got various other letters over here. And so on this, I actually put this in her folder and I wrote, Layla Beth practiced writing letters on the back of her colouring picture. We talked about the letters of her name and the letters that she knew. So I just write a little bit on here for the parents so they can see why I've taken this piece of work out and, you know, the importance of it. And there's the picture she was doing when she decided to do her letters. So we were doing a winter picture and then she turned it over and started writing. And there are other sort of craft bits that we've done together. So that was a winter activity at the beginning of the year. And then again, as the folder goes on, we just add more and more photos and more little write-ups about the things we've done. So I've said here, we've been focusing on number recognition over the past few weeks. We go for a walk every morning and look for numbers around the village. She's recognising a lot of numbers and is quick to spot them in the environment too. She found a number 8. She found number 8 a bit tricky, as did many of the others, so we've been doing some crafts around the shape of a number 8. She painted an 8 octopus while I told her a made-up story about him. She counted his 8 legs as she painted them. Now she can recognise most numbers 0 to 9. We are working on double digits. So you can see how that was just a small observation of something that we do, a little bit about our day, something that she was finding tricky, and how I've supported her to move on to the next area of learning. So we've also, with the writing, we've again been practicing the shape. So this is the loopy shape that you would make for E's. And here she wanted to do some counting. So I took we had a piece of paper and we had some counters, and we just practiced counting, and I wrote the sums down for her so she could see that the counting she was doing with the physical objects were actually mathematical sums, so that when she starts school she will realise the connection. Now what we are working on at the moment is our number formation. So this month we have started working our way through this, and again I believe this was from Twinkle, and so she has been practicing writing her numbers and then doing a couple of little mathematical sums, and we've worked all the way up to 2 at the moment. So we have other worksheets here. Now, I'm not a great lover of worksheets as something we sit down and we do a lot of, but it does have its place for older children. I never force them to do it. If they're not interested, if they're not ready, there are so many other ways you can make children write. That's not right, is it? There are other ways you can encourage children to mark, make and write without having to sit them down and do worksheets. Not wanting to be stereotypical, but I generally find the girls want to sit down and do writing, and the boys want to go outside with a paintbrush and paint the numbers with water on the patio or on big bits of chalk, or things like that. So again, I don't want to be stereotypical, just 99% of the time that tends to be how it falls. So go with your children. If your child is not a child that wants to work on paper, and you're thinking, how can I show the evidence in their folders? Just take photos of everything and put it in the folder. So if they're out there, if you've chalked numbers on the patio because your child is more interested in big physical writing than they are in writing, they're just not ready for that stage yet. So go with it. Go with that and put some water out there, give them some paintbrushes, and then take photos, because that is just as good as to put in the folder as worksheets are. So yeah, we usually, with her, I would usually spend maybe 15 minutes of a morning doing a worksheet with her, because she comes to me and asks me what writing she can do. So that's something she really enjoys doing, and I'll sit down and do it with her. My younger children, I then sit down with each of them and we'll do some of the tray activities that you may have seen in my previous videos. And again, I will take photos for those younger children, and I will put those photos of them doing the tray activities and explain to parents in those observations what the child has done and how it benefits their development, and then I've put that in. Now, one of the things I've not yet decided on how to evidence in these folders is the links to COAL. Okay, so one of the aspects of COAL is finding out and exploring. So is your child curious about things? Are they curious about the world around them, people, things that are happening, objects? Do they use their senses to explore the world around them? Do they lick things, sniff things, touch things? Do they engage in open-ended activities? So can they use their imaginations? Can they engage in small world play? Can they do something that doesn't have a structure? And do they have their own interests? Are they interested in Paw Patrol? Do they like cars? Do they have an interest in ancient Egypt? I don't know, it could be anything, couldn't it? So that is finding out and exploring. That's that aspect of COAL. Okay, so another aspect of COAL is playing with what they know. So this is where you see the role play, so the home corner area and role play activities. You'll usually see this aspect of COAL being used here. So pretending that objects are something else. So, the baby that starts picking up a remote control and talking into it like it's a mobile phone. So taking on roles in their play for the older children. So, I'm the mummy, or I'm the doctor, or, I'm the big sister, or whatever it is in their play, and they take that role and often give roles to other people as well. Acting out experiences that they have seen at home. So that's a big part of role play, so especially in the home corner. Excuse me, I'm going to have a drink, my throat is very sore. So children who are in the home corner making dinner, children who decide they're going to get the toolkit and fix the car or the bike in the garden, all things they've seen their parents or siblings or other family members or friends do, they are acting that out as well in their play. Okay, another area of COAL is being willing to have a go, and this is for those children that get stuck. First of all, do they initiate any activities? Do they encourage others to come play with them? Do they start, or do they sit back and wait for others to try and engage them, or for an adult to come along and help them? So we want to see children initiating their own play and initiating their own activities. Do they seek challenges? Do they stick with things that are really safe, or do they want to push their boundaries a little bit and say, do you know what, I'm going to give this a go? Which leads on to the next thing. Do they have a can-do attitude? So that's another thing to look for. Can they do things? Can they at least try and do things? Will they give things a go? Or will they say, you know what, actually I'm not comfortable with that. I'm scared I might fail. My son, for one, he hated the thought of failing. He really found that difficult. And if he didn't think he would succeed at something, he just wouldn't do it. It just wasn't going to happen. So it's that can-do attitude. Can you do it? Can you give it a go? Can you take the risk? Can you take a risk and climb a tree? Can you take a risk that you might get something wrong? So would you engage in a new experience, something you've not tried before? Would you take that risk and engage in something new, and learn by trial and error? Would you risk doing something wrong and learn the right way to do it? So those are things you need to look at in children as well. Those are the areas of COAL, characteristics of effective learning. And I don't think I've yet found a way to effectively evidence that. I've seen charts where you tick boxes, much like the tracking chart, but I'm not sure COAL is a tick box action. I think it's long-term development. I think we dip in and out of some of these things. Sometimes children are really keen and outgoing and want to give things a go and don't care if something goes wrong. And then there can be a change in their home life. They could be a new baby, they could move house, anything could happen. And then suddenly they're not so confident. And then maybe they're not willing to take a risk and they are more worried about things. And so I'm not sure, things can go backwards and forwards, I think is what I'm trying to say. I don't think you can say, oh, they've achieved that and that's what they do, because sometimes they might go back. I mean, with any development, there could be a regression, but I think there's more likely for children to dip in and out of the different areas and show different areas of preferred learning, depending on what's going on in their life at the time. So if anyone has a really good way of evidencing COAL in children, that would be great. If you could show me or link it or, make a comment in the bottom, that would be amazing, because I'm really finding that quite difficult. So that's what I'm currently working on. And if I do find a way of doing it, I will definitely do another video to show you how to incorporate that into the learning journey. So yeah, that is how we do our learning journeys at the moment. And I'm getting quite good feedback from parents. They seem to really enjoy having the folders to look through. Even the older children, so this little girl particularly likes taking it home. Each week she asks if there's something we can put in her folder, so she's very much involved in building up her folder. And she often says, when can I take it home again to show mummy and daddy? So she's taking hers home probably once a month. She'd like to take it home every week. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried. Well, one, I can't work on it if she takes it home every week. But also I'm a little bit worried it might get lost. So I think that's something to stress. If you explain to parents this is their ongoing learning and this is a document of their ongoing development, and that you really need it, and use Ofsted, I really need it to show Ofsted, please do not lose it. Because yeah, it has been known in the past for them to go astray. But I think it's really important that you send them home and that parents get to have a look through them. Because even if you invite a parent into your setting and say, here, I'll have a cup of tea, look through the folder, make any notes, it's like you're reading under pressure, aren't you? And really what you want to do is take it home and read it in your own time. So yeah, I think you need to take the risk of sending it home, but do all you can to make sure it's like, this is gold, please don't lose it. So any questions about how I do the folders, how I do the profiles, just leave me a comment in the bottom of this vlog and I will get back to you. But I think I've covered everything. I think. Yeah.